Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bristol 50 event, and thank you very much indeed for supporting us here, and hope that you've had a very, very good afternoon on the docks, or in the docks. We did ask if we asked for the drivers that are based in the docks. We've got a couple of things for you just to sign for us, which will come more explanatory later. So we can ask any drivers that are based here in the docks to just come and sign our poster and our race programme. That would be absolutely grateful. So we'll just let you all settle down before we start the evening. to the Bristol 50 event, and I hope you've had a nice day so far. But we do ask you, if you've not yet signed the poster and you've raced at the Bristol Grand Prix in the past, we do ask you to please step forward and sign our souvenirs that we've got here. We've got a poster and a race programme, so if you want to come and sign those of you, Tony Williams has actually just popped up to sign the items. Bristol event to celebrate 50 years since the first ever Bristol Grand Prix back in 1972. And to take you through this evening was one of the commentators at the event. You've heard him already today. He was one of the best commentators that I know. He was always down at the Cumberland Basin end. One of the most exciting things was, of course, as we said earlier, to watch the boats disappear from the grandstand end, round the bend, up towards the Cumberland Basin, and then this voice, this burst of energy, burst through the speakers. And that name, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Robin Hurst. Robin, I'd like to ask you to step forward, please. And Robin and Bob Bristol, of course, they were the main commentators of the event. Of course, Murray Walker, you took over Murray Walker's job. I mean, that must have been quite privileged.
I was, yes. I was very privileged to be here at Bristol. It was a great event. Thank you for your words. You want to think back? I'll give you that.
This is a first. Get this on film, Ryan. But no, Robin was a brilliant commentator. As I said, the boats disappeared up to the Cumberland Basin end, and Robin made it all sound very, very exciting. And for me personally, I think I'd like to thank Robin for his efforts. Bob can't be here this evening, but Robin representing probably the side of the sport that doesn't really get mentioned that often, but Robin Hurst, everybody, the commentator for the Bristol Grand Prix for many, many years. And now you can have it back.
Thank you very much, Jason. That was excellent. Thank you. It's very nice to see you all here. What a turnout we've got tonight. There's a lot of very interesting people here, and a lot of people have also taken a big effort to get here. And I'm just going to ask the people who have taken the trouble to come all the way around the world to be here. Bill Seabold, stand up and just take a round of applause, please. Martin Berkins. And I'd also like Jack Wilson and Andy Bullen to stand, because they race mainly in America. But most importantly, there's a lady here called Kathy Houtenstein. Kathy's husband, Jim, was one of the leaders in powerboat racing in America. He ran the Arcadian team, they swept everything before them. John Jones and Chris Bush both won world championships with his team. Unfortunately, Jim was killed in an accident, but Kathy is here tonight. Kathy, will you stand, please? And a real big round of applause. Just talking about Jack Wilson for a moment, he of course ran the Cosworth car engine boat, which is on the centre pages of the programme. Just have a look at that, because in his young days he was a real stalwart. And I might tell you he had a real racy daughter as well. She's here tonight, of course, sitting next to Roy and Jason have put a lot of effort into it, a lot of investment. They've had all the programmes designed and printed. They've got a raffle tonight. I want you all to support that raffle very generously. And they're all here. On the table as well is Jack Wilson's boats at the end, the model boats, which he would quite like to discuss selling to you later on. There is pictures commemorating all the events, all the items, memorabilia for sale. Now I think that, oh my goodness, who's he?
Yeah.
I didn't remember having hair. Well, I'm quite overcome. So now the other thing I just want to tell you about tonight is the Duke of York trophy, because that was not presented by the latest Duke of York, who might not be mentioned, but the previous Duke of York in 1905, I think it was, he presented the Duke of York's trophy to the RYA that was then raced here. It was then, in 1977, it was valued at 16,000. Obviously, it's still under lock and key. Bill Seabold won it, would you believe, 5 times. And Jonathan Jones, who's here tonight. Everybody's very smartly turned out tonight, by the way. Thank you all for coming. Bill and Jonathan, just stand up and take a bit of a round of applause again. Oh my goodness. I thought Jonathan was going to be smartly turned out. He's got a green shirt, would you believe it? Just wanted to get him to stand. It isn't even a proper dragon shirt.
Yeah, but he's Welsh.
Now what we're going to do now, we're going to be running videos of the races going on over the years on the screen while we have the meal. I shall be getting up during the meal to just, when I think of something I really need to say to keep the show on the road, and then we will get on with the major programme towards the end of the meal. So enjoy your meal, everybody, and I'll see you later.
so many of you were able to come, and especially the people who have come from further distances away. And it's great to have Bill here for a second time for the event, and Kathy. And also to have Penny Shepherd with us, because obviously without Charlie's input, the races would never have happened in the first place. So yeah, it's great to have them here. So I think a round of applause for Open Museum, yes. Yes. Yeah, it's.
Do I need to race back?
No, you're all right. Since COVID and the lockdown, of course, it's affected, lots of businesses and most charities. So that brought everything to a standstill. And my experience of organising this and dealing with Bristol City Council has made us think twice about whether Bristol is really the right location. It's right for obviously its location and the fact that a lot of people visit Bristol, but if the local authority aren't really up to helping you set something up, then it's just not really the place to be. So after this event's over and we've all recovered, then we'll sit down and think about what our next move is, because obviously the collection's got bigger and it really needs to be displayed somewhere, because there's no point having it all stored away, gathering dust, and the whole point of having it was able to have people come and enjoy it. So we're still quite a way, I think, from actually getting it off the ground, but I think having a rethink will give us more of a direction that we need to be going in. But I was very surprised. It's almost like Bristol's forgotten its recent history. Obviously, Charlie, the idea of the powerboat races was the fact that Bristol City Council, back in the late 60s, were quite happy for the harbour area to be filled in and built over. And Charlie, being a Bristolian and seeing the value of the harbour, thought by putting on the races, it would prove to the local council that the harbour had merit in itself and that it should be saved. As we see now, it has been saved, and it's obviously bringing in the council a lot of money because of all the property development that's gone on around it. So yes, but we'll keep plodding on, and we're not going to give up. So we will get there at some point. It's just deciding on a new location, whether we actually decide not our original plan, which was to have it in Lowestoft, because obviously we've still got the Autumn Hall Club there, the only club in the world that has races every week of the season. So at least there's still a direct link with the sport in Lowestoft. So that's our next look to see, really. They've been given, they're part of one of these bid schemes, which is to bring business and new enterprises into the city, into the town centre. So we're going to have a look and see if we can play any part in that.
So, sorry, Roy, just before this young man dashes off, so me and Roy have probably spoken in the last, I don't know, 6 months, probably more than we have done for the last 6 years. And I know what this event means to not only Roy, and also myself, and of course, obviously all of you guys, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. But this man has sweat blood and funds it. We were going to pull the plug on it about, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago, because we didn't know what direction, we didn't know, to be honest, if there was the interest. But I would like to just show my appreciation for Roy, and if you can also do the same, because he has had a lot of sleepless nights to put this on the boards, and really on behalf of Roy and myself, we hope that you have, this is not it by the way, but this is just me getting it out of my chest and off my system, but we hope that you are enjoying yourselves here.
Yeah, and I would just like to say that without Jason, this definitely wouldn't have happened, because he's put in a lot of hard work as well and kept me thinking positive about the whole thing. So, yeah. But I think seeing everybody here, everybody enjoying themselves, and we've had a nice sunny day, so I think it's been a good all-round event, so yeah, I'm pleased.
Next slide, please. Back to Robin.
Thank you, Roy. That was absolutely great. I used to commentate a lot at the Old Broad Club, and Jason started commentating with me when he was about 10. He stood beside me on the... I can fully... He's much better than I am now. He really has got it all together. I shall be able to stand back and let him now take over. No, not tonight, of course. I'm in charge now. That was very interesting what Roy was saying about Charlie Shepherd saving the dock, because if it had all been filled in and developed, it would have all been gone long since. Whereas Bristol, the river through Bristol today is absolutely iconic. Right, I told you earlier we've lost quite a lot of members in the last 5 or 6 years, and I don't want to go all through them, but I did mention earlier Roy Clark, and I did mention Jim Pepperell. But the most important man that we've lost in this last couple of years was a driver called Andy Elliott, who started racing in the London Club when he was about 10, and he carried on all of his life. And he was a tremendous competitor. He went to Martinique and nearly won the World Championship then. He raced Formula 1, Formula 2, monos, Formula 4s, everything. He was just a marvellous fellow. We've got tonight the past Formula 3 World Champion, Ken McCrory, who's going to tell you all about Andy, show you some videos of him, and there's a picture of him in the corner there. And powerboat racing really was his life, and he knew everybody in it, and we all knew him, and he was absolutely great. Ken McCrory. Here he comes, Formula 3 world champion at one time, smooth as silk. Here he is, Ken.
Good evening, everyone. Or shall I say, good evening to my powerboat family. This is going to be a bit emotional, so bear with me on this one. So, in 1966, I first met Andrew and the Elliott family. It was clear, even at that early stage, the whole family were competitive. Both of us became members of the Bracknell Boys Club. Bracknell is the place that we lived in, where we enjoyed playing indoor 5-side football, badminton, and cross-country running. And this is where Andrew started to play ping pong. And ping pong, for our American friends, is table tennis. In fact, Andrew played also squash at a very high level as well. In fact, he was competitive in every sport that he competed in. We both enjoyed racing our push bikes and did some 10-mile time trials, and we even rode from our home in Bracknell to our boating club in Ivor, which was the London Motorboat Racing Club. Andrew's sisters remember me having to run alongside Andrew as he cut the grass, but his father thought it would be a good idea if he bought a second lawnmower so that I could help Andrew cut all the lawns and the orchards, which we nearly did every week during the summer months. Then his sisters really got heavily involved in horses. So Ron, the father, had an idea to build a stable block. And as always, the plans were drawn on the back of a cigarette packet. Work commenced with Andrew and myself set to digging footings, then digging the trenches for drains. In fact, we just kept digging for many, many months, which then changed into many years. We mixed up tons of concrete. It was just a huge project which kept us both busy most weekends and during school holidays. Each day, Ron, the father, would set us a task which had to be completed before he got home. In fact, it didn't really hurt us. It actually made us physically strong, and it kept us off the streets. So now we're going to get a little bit older, and it's time to go out to pubs and clubs. So a typical weekend for the McCrory and the Elliot was to meet at a pub in Bracknell called the Horse and Groom, have a few small beers, because it wasn't cool in those days to drink pints. Then off we'd go to either a nightclub called Pantiles, which was a very famous nightclub, or even further afield to a place called Cinderella Rockefellers in Guildford. On one occasion, we met at the Horse and Groom, then jumped into our friend's VW camper van, and on the way we would sing along to Saturday Night Fever songs. Arriving at the club, there would be drinks at the bar, and then we'd lose Andrew as he disappeared off to try and find a girl or girls to talk to. I have to say, I've listened to some of these chat lines, which did kind of work for him, but when I used them, I'd get the blank look. Blank look as so to say, what the heck are you on? And then to walk away. At the end of the evening, we'd meet outside, but no Andrew. One of the friends would say, don't worry, I know where he is. So as we walked towards the camper van, our friend would knock on the door and say, you in there, Andrew? Yeah, give me a minute. And then the door would slide open, and there was Andrew smiling. Just got to take Susan back to her car. We jumped in the van, and Andrew would then reappear. So guys, did you have a good evening? Clearly not as good as you had, Andrew. As we drove home, Andrew would fall asleep, and we just keep thinking to ourselves, how does he do it? So let's move on to some racing stories. In 1982, I got the chance to race Formula 4, which was sponsored by a team that was sponsored by Peter Siddy. He wanted to have his own race team with drivers who he could promote. Andrew would drive the monohull, and then he'd go into F4, and I would start with driving F4 races. Boats. Our boats were painted with black, and they had the motor on there of Saint Racing and KZ doors. Really looked smart, a really professional looking team. Andrew then continued to race in monohull, and he actually really did dominate monohull racing. In fact, he got to a point where we were at a race in Fairford, where the mutterings were going around the pits that most probably Andrew's engine wasn't quite as straight as it should have been, which really upset Andrew. Upset Andrew to the point that he knew that the guy who was always running in the back of the monohulls was a guy called Bob Grimes. So Andrew went to Bob Grimes and said, look, I know you're having problems with your boat, etc. Take my engine and I'll have your engine. So we all went round, helped Andrew as they changed the engines from monohull to monohull. Start of the race, Andrew didn't particularly get a good start. However, he came right way through and won that event. Where was Bob? Where he exactly was before. So that just proved that not only was it Andrew who had the best driving ability, he had the best boat and the best propellers. And then there's no one out there who could actually beat him. Then Peter had a wish that he wanted for himself and Andrew to go and race at the last race of the season in Paris, which was a 6-hour race, which was an endurance race. The plan was to race in Andrew's Formula 4 boat with the ever-faithful Yamaha 60 horsepower 2-cylinder engine. Paris was the final season's battleground for the big engine manufacturers OMC and Mercury. The factories would bring their best drivers from all around the world to compete. It was a huge event with over 50 boats, OZ, Formula 1, F3 and F4. As you walk down the pits, the teams are already getting prepared to do the battle on Sunday. As you got to the Formula 4 area, you could see that most of them were French boats, and most of them looked like chicken sheds. Then you came to our very small boat, which wasn't really designed for racing, or endurance racing, but it really looked good. Andrew was going to start the race, and the flag dropped, and there was an almighty roar of horsepower. The course was around about 2 miles in length, and as the first OZ boats came back towards the docks, they were really flying. Next came some Formula 3 boats, but in amongst them was Andrew, in his Formula 4 boat. I was absolutely gobsmacked. How the heck was he so far up the field? But he was, and to be honest, he was driving the boat so well and it looked good. Andrew came back to the dock for the refuelling, and now it's my turn to drive. So as I was about to get in the boat, Andrew would say, drive it flat out, get the nose up, don't pin turn it, it's fun. So off I went, and sure enough, it really was fun. Towards the end of the race, it was clear that we'd be first home in Formula 4, but when the race finished, we had lapped all the Formula 4s twice and many Formula 3 boats. Overall, we'd finished in the top 5, only to be beaten by 4 OZs and 1 F1. Then the fun really started. The French organisers impounded the boat with myself and Andrew. They could not believe how these 2 lads from the UK, with this small boat and this 2-cylinder engine, could beat all the French drivers. They started to measure the boat, they stripped the engine, and they couldn't find anything wrong with them. So then their attention turned to myself and Andrew. We were drug tested, we were alcohol tested, but we were squeaky clean.
That's weird.
That was unusual for Andrew, not for me. So the little boat with the 2 lads from Bracknell came really good day. Really came good down on that day. Andrew then progressed to F3, where he really made a name for himself, winning the World Championship because he could really fly an F3 boat, and he was super, super quick. On occasions, he would drive for OMC with Jan de Ren, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, in the F3000 class. He then moved up to Formula 1, and it's clear to see he had the ability, the determination to do well. In his first season, he lost the World Championship by 1 point. In the later years, he had the hunger and the ambition to keep trying to do well in a formula which was truly expensive. And this is where Andrew lacked the financial backing. I still believe, and I would really argue with anyone in this room tonight, that if he had the money, he would have been an F1 champion many times over. He had the ability to drive boats, which was amazing. He had the gift of setting boats up, and he had the gift of driving to the limit. So let's now move to 1998. I've been racing World Formula 3 Series for a few years, and I was on the brink of winning the World Championship. At the last round in Campione in Italy, Andrew was there, helping and supporting me. At the start of the race, I found another driver, Steve Hill, who could also win the championship. We'd been racing for a few laps, then Steve, unfortunately not, barrel rolled at pit turn. Race stopped. As I got back to the dock, Andrew jumped on the boat and opened the canopy. It's going to be a restart, but 10 more laps. I've worked it out. You need to finish in the top 5. This is it. Go for it. This was typical Andrew. He always knew the position of the boats, then he could work out what the sort of positions were in relationship to points. And he knew that if I could finish in the top 5, I'd win the World Championship. After 10 laps, which seemed like 110 laps, I finished second. Driving back to the dock, the team were jumping around and waving, and there was Andrew, waving the Union Jack. I jumped out of the boat to cheers and clapping. Next thing, Andrew shouted at me, "Come on, I'm going to drive you on your lap of honour." Before I could say anything, he pulled me onto the boat, he jumped in the driving seat, and he fired the engine for that lap. Thinking back, there's a lot to take in. But my best mate, who got me into powerboat racing, was now driving me on my lap of honour. He had given me a world champion status. We all know he suffered a horrendous accident in Russia, but through the love and care from his sisters Michelle, Patricia, Maxine, and his respected partners, he made a full recovery. I saw Andrew in that period. Powerboating had really hurt him physically, and I think mentally as well. But he bounced back for a few more races before retiring. In later years, my wife, Caroline, had bought a house in Marlow, where we live now, which had a big garden, and the plan was to build a new house. And have you ever watched Grand Designs? Grand Designs, for our American friends, is a program about building houses. You quite often see on that program that everyone goes over budget. And exactly the same happened to us. I spoke with Andrew and explained the situation. He asked, "So what do you need to finish the house?" I gave him a figure, to which he replied, "I can double that if you want it." Not only did he help us to finish the house and build it to the specification we wanted, he also came over many times to help varnish floors and spent a whole weekend helping us move in. The cost was roast dinners and the opportunity to stay with us for many weekends. As I look around this room tonight, there are lots of legends. He had lots of really good friends within the Powerboating family. Anne Young, who raised Scout Andrew, was a true friend. Then in later years, his sidekick, Richard Wood, would be there for Andrew all the time. All his Dutch friends who stayed in contact with Andrew after he retired from racing. Jonathan Jones, who Andrew really respected. And Jackie Wilson, whose son, Mark, raced against Andrew way back in junior class, back at Ivor. And it was also Jackie who helped me, or helped my parents, buy my first engine, a 10 horsepower Mercury. I think one of our most proudest moments was when Andrew and myself won our class in Paris. Then having our picture taken standing either side of Billy Seabold. At the last bit, the Bristol reunion, Andrew grabbed me and Billy and we replicated that same picture, which is a treasured picture that I will keep forever. I last saw Andrew during lockdown. I called him on a Friday and told him, "I'm going to cycle over to see you." When I arrived, I got the big Andrew smile, which you all know. We sat in the garden, we talked about this and that, and of course we got onto racing. At the end I told Andrew his garden looked great, and he also looked really fit and well, and more importantly, he looked happy and content. He told me he wanted to build an outhouse with sliding doors across the front of the building. It would be big enough for a ping pong table, table tennis table, and of course a bar. His plan was to invite all his friends from his table tennis club to come and play a tournament in his own table tennis clubhouse. As I left, I said, "Andrew, you've got the money, just treat yourself." And then I went. On the final day, Andrew fell ill. At 17:45, I had a call from Andrew. "Hello, Ken, how you doing?" Then he says, "Bloody hell, there's a Porsche up a tree with the drive still in it. I'm stopping to help it." And then the phone goes dead. 15 minutes later, Andrew calls back. "Did you see the pictures I sent you? Driver's okay. Sorry, gotta go, running late for another appointment." And that's my last conversation with Andrew. For me and many of you in this room tonight, it's still such a sad time, but when you feel down and sad, just remember how privileged we all are to have known Andrew, either as a loving, caring brother or a best mate who was like a brother to me. I never will have such a true friend as I did with Andrew. I have no shame in saying this, I loved Andrew, and I still love him, and I always will. Thank you.
The 8-times world champion works double shifts at Heathrow's Duty Free to help fund his racing, whilst the one that came third has unimaginable wealth and the attention of the most beautiful women in the world. You may never have heard of Andy Elliott because he chose to race these. Whereas you may well recognise this bloke because of this.
Did you ever wonder why I sold you that boat?
You're probably scared.
No, I was not.
was because I became 17. I could drive a car then. Obviously, cars were the way to go. I mean, it took me around the world. I've been around the world too. There's boat racing. There's no real skill in it. You go up and down a lane, down a boy, or whatever you call it, a corner, and that's all there is to it. No real edge, no excitement. We have more overtaking than has happened in a race than we did in the whole year of Formula 1. And at the start in Formula 1, you've got 2 guys there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there. 4 guys there, 4 guys, that's got no chance. We've got 24 guys lined up like that. You go on the outside, same 2 guys behind the guy in the front. You can quite do a really good start and catch up. Got straight to Henry, got wash, back and got you get wet. You get wet. You drive that car on the edge, that is like 0 experience you've ever had. Unbelievable.
And he always seems willing to meet and greet. The preparation and erection of the tent will take care of itself.
This is the most important thing, the chairs. It's 4 of them ahead. That's me. Clear. They're driving down and went to get some fuel. And still bird entered the van. I tried to shoot the back end and try and come out the side door. He disappeared down the paneling.
Team Elliott's chief mechanic Steve keeps Andy honest. Never lets Andy get away with hard truths.
Yeah. Not as rough as he was the other month, but yeah, he was a bit rough. When we got to Portugal, we couldn't drive anymore because my mechanic was so tired to be stopped by the transport place. He was really cold. It's freezing cold for a while. I couldn't get warm. It's very uncomfortable. But I keep listening to this noise, and then I keep this scratching noise. Then there's this like alarming smell. The lights are on, but no one's at home at the moment. Maybe it's a white positive, where I was a bit scared to move. And my mechanic, I said to him, Steve, what was that? He said, I don't know, smell it? No. An hour later, he told me it was him who farted in the front cab. And the noise, like hell, it was in the truck, was from his jacket on the console between me and him. So there was nothing. I was scared, it's bloody 30, it wasn't. So that was a bit of a joke. Stephen.
Andy's struggling with his boat, a road design spraying up too much water onto his windscreen.
It's okay. Unfortunately, there's no problem like to rectify. There are big problems down the bottom where it's rough going in. It's quite narrow in front, pretty shallow. It's big with bikes, you just can't set it properly. Typical where I am, 10, 11, 12, that's where I am, unfortunately.
And he pushes his boat harder and harder until he gets to the top 7 again. The second left, and he stops dead.
Ran out of fuel. I was 0.05 in the shootout. I'm ready for a fast man, it's bloody fuel run out. Basically the midsection was broken. We did see a slight problem back at home in England, but unfortunately I only picked the boat up Friday morning from Rotterdam, for whatever reason. And I worked as well, so I had about 4 hours to prepare the boat. We've done the major things. Unfortunately, the thing we thought was a minor thing has been a major thing, so it's let me down. We only noticed it this morning, yes, that's only fine, but around the engine maximum down, we didn't realise the problem. So I jacked up a little bit last time session. Oil's been leaking out, we've been playing, we didn't realise it was playing, but I started jumping up and down, and it was, with the weight and the torque, it's too much. Completely broken the midsection, so just bought a new one. We've got 1 hour.
Andy struggles on, but it's become apparent the tail wasn't the problem, it's the whole kit caboodle. Now it's looking like it's the bid for this old lady.
Andy Elliott has crashed out of this race. Michael Werner has taken the lead. His face, in fact, says it all. Well, Andy showed his maturity earlier on. He's coming through the field. Well, hopefully now we might get a word with Andy Elliott. What was the problem?
Question?
Live? Yes, it's live. Ken, thank you very much for that. That was absolutely great. You introduced it well. We enjoyed the film. You've got to appreciate everybody that knew Andy. He probably, as Ken said, was one of the best drivers that we ever had the pleasure to race against, to watch. And he was just a great fellow altogether. And you saw what a fellow he was there. Another big hand for Ken, I think. It was terrific. Now the next thing that Jason has got all set up, I think, is he wants to show you some videos of typical crashes. The main problem with powerboat racing, the engine is mounted on the back of the boat on a hydraulic ram. And the brave drivers push the engine out, which lifts the boat out of the water, so they get a lot of air under the tunnel, so the boat becomes more or less airborne. On the other hand, you can see what happens when that happens. Jason is now well, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. That really shows you, doesn't it? Well, you know, you can see this is the 50th anniversary of the racing starting here in Bristol. And it was the brainchild of Charlie Shepherd. I told you earlier today, and I'm not going to go through it all again, Charlie was a motor dealer. He took a boat in part exchange. He started to build boats. He had this idea that he was going to race in Bristol docks. He managed to get Wills to sponsor the event, and it all went on from there. And it was all due to Charlie. And he was here, well, until, they'll tell you when he left us, but it was a little while ago now. 96. So, 96. So we've invited tonight his daughter Penny to come and join us, just to show our appreciation of what her father did to get this race on the water and get it going. It really was a tremendous effort. tremendous foresight, great energy, fought the planners who wanted to fill the dock in, as Roy told you earlier. So we've ended up with the dock, with the river. We had the racing. We wouldn't have a race there now, but it's now for the pleasure of all the boats that are in the, and it's really very much part of Bristol. Roy, I'd like you to come and join me, if you will. And Roy is going to make a special presentation to Penny and to show our appreciation of powerboat racing in Bristol Dock that became the most iconic event in the world. It was the most important event in the world, really. It was in a tremendously tight circuit. It was very dangerous. It needed real courage, and it needed a quick boat, of course, as you saw with Bill Seabold. You needed a quick boat, you needed to be able to drive it, and you really needed to be able to control it, not to go too mad. And we saw some colossal racing here. As the commentator for the last 7 years down at the bottom, I can tell you, when they came round that bend on the first lap, it was absolutely colossal. Roy.
I'd just like to present you with this penny in commemoration of all that Charlie did for bringing powerboat racing to Bristol.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you so much for all your kind words today about Dad and the racing, and how he wouldn't say no for an answer with the City Council and all the other organisations that he had to deal with. He would have loved this. He would have just so loved this, and he would talk to you all to death of it. Those of you who know him from far afield know, I'm sure, that he was a linguist, and he spoke several languages, because he just assumed that the Dutch, the Italians, the French and the Germans were just deaf, and he just spoke louder to them. I'm sure Brian would back me up on this. His main concern, as you said, was to make sure the dock stayed open, because it was a valuable resource. But as time went on, his focus turned to safety, and I'm sure you will all know that this, that period was marvellous for all of us to have lived through. There was all sorts of innovations that came into being with the dangers that the docks brought about, shall we say. It was a fantastic place to race, I'm sure, and it was a fantastic event to watch. But the safety of all of you was actually paramount in his period through the powerboat racing. And I just wanted to say one thing I did hear today, and I think it was actually Ken said it when we were on the boat. Did you say the docks? The docks were bigger or something?
The water was lower.
The water was lower. And you know why the water was lower? Because Dad had to do a calculation for the city docks that a boat could not come up and fly and go into the crowd. So they actually lowered the floating harbour dock by about a metre, or a yard in old money, so that there was more dock wall for you to hit before you hit. So he had to do this calculation, and in true Dad fashion, he managed to bamboozle them that would work. Unfortunately, nobody ever went up into the area where the public was. So safety was paramount. But thank you so much for this, Roy, wherever you are. Where are you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me today. It's been wonderful. It's been really nice to see you all. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Penny. That was really, it was really interesting, really family, father, how he did it all, and she was obviously involved, and how much she thought of him. That was absolutely great. Roy has gone nipping out of the room for some reason. Oh, he's coming in with flowers, would you believe it? I think that, so I guess these are for Penny. Well done, Roy. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the big event to come up now is the raffle. Has everybody got raffle tickets? Have you all expended, or you haven't? Oh, you want some more raffle tickets there, do you?
Just one more thing to give out, that if Jason would like to come up. As I said earlier, this definitely wouldn't have happened without all the hard work that Jason put in, and also just supporting me and convincing me that we should have kept on and got the event off the ground. So this is for you, Jason. Thanks,
Well, that really does just show the measure of Roy, doesn't it? How much he appreciates Jason's help, and it has just been a terrific event today, and it's well done, everybody. And well done, Roy, for taking on the museum from Basildon and getting it to Ottenborough eventually. We'll all have to come. Don't forget, the website is called Fast on the Water. You can pay the subscription, get on there. You can enjoy every bit, all that you've seen tonight and everything else. I guess it's been just a lovely evening and everybody's enjoyed it, and I hope you have. It seems to be. So we're going to have the raffle now, and I'm going to thank Jason, I'm going to thank Roy, and I'm going to hand over to Jason now, and he's going to do the raffle. He's going to dish out the prizes, and no doubt he'll have some young lady who's going to present the prizes as well, or I suspect it could be Penny. I suspect he might be invited. Oh, my goodness. Right, you're going to take over. There you are.
Right, well, thank you, Robin, and a big round of applause, please, for Robin, because so we've still got it, and I think we've still got one more sensational in him as yet. So, but thank you, Robin, and right, raffle time. Well, first of all, thanks everyone for buying raffle tickets, and there's a lot in here, but we will ask Penny if you'd like to put the luck of the draw in and draw out the first ticket. And well, we've gone deep now with the raffle. Elaine's now going to kindly read that. So if you've got a 3 in it, it's good, because the raffle ticket is 365. So 365, and this is for the Fast on Water t-shirt, which does come in many sizes, but so if you got 365, this is for the Fast on Water t-shirt. Anyone got 365? Do we have an? So there we go. Gwyneth has won the 365. So proof of purchase. Gwyneth now actually then gets the next ticket, and this one is for the box of Black Magic. I'm going to ask Billy now. Was there ever a boat called Black Magic? So, so 760 is the next one for the box of chocolates. And if you don't like these ones, we've got another one. Phil's got them. See, this will stop him from hitting the ball next time if we ever do it again. Well done, Phil. Thanks. So Phil takes out the next one. He didn't go quite as deep. Right, so 120, and this is for the other box of chocolates, which is this one. Oh, there we go. Congratulations. Are they your favourite ones? They are? Yeah, well done. Oh yeah, we just need to, well I'm going to, yeah, there we go, draw another ticket out. And this one is for, who remembers this? So with a bit of Powerboat memorabilia now, Powerboat 86, which was an excellent publication back in the day. So this is 620. So 620, is that so Malcolm Cox then wins the, I don't know if you're in that one or not, Malcolm, but you might be, but he's going to check now for us, but if you'd like to take out the next ticket. Yeah, they are all things. It's been busy, Elaine, ripping up the tickets. So that was so this one, I'll just put one back in there now, that was 120. Getting confused already with the raffle. So this one then is for the Fast on Water goodie bag, which is a collection of, well, I'm not going to spoil it, it's a goodie bag full of fun and everything. So this is 719. 719 for the Joe! Well done. So you mustn't show your dad this because he'll want to take it off you. So, or maybe you can share it. So well done, Joe. And Joe, I'm not going to let you pick out the next one because no, you're not doing it. Because Billy's going to. Mr. Bill, you can announce the next number. He's a bit shy, everybody.
It could be 986. No, 689.
So 689 is the next one. Is that yours? It's your table, isn't it? 689, 68. Well, we've got 67. Oh, there we go to our Irish contingent. And I have to say, well done. This young man, Bill Chambers, sitting next to us. This isn't a fix, by the way, and this is for the champagne. This young man raced Formula 4 in Spain last year. I think it was October, wasn't it? And he won the World Cup over there. So, well done for buying the raffle ticket and enjoy the celebrations. So well done. Bill Chambers, everybody. It's your birthday, David, is it? Is it your birthday? We both. So well done. So we do have then one more prize, which is very, well, most of you have signed it. So someone probably, well, someone in the room definitely is going to go home with it. But this is for the poster. This is a one-off. No one else will have one of these ever again. A poster with all the signatures of everyone here today who have raced around the race course. So the ticket is here. I'm going to ask our Formula 1 commentator, Jonathan Jones, but former world champion. I can't believe that Steve Michaels couldn't believe that you had won some races. That was a bit brilliant, wasn't it, Jonathan?
I'm just checking on our tickets.
He wants to win it, everybody.
This one feels good. Oh, damn. 117.
So 117 for the poster. So check your. I'll tell you what, Jonathan. Oh, there we go. Excellent. Are you sure that wasn't a fix?
Wow. Let's just say Dean and I go back a long way. So.
We know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for the contribution to the raffle. It really is appreciated. We'll just present Dean then with this poster. As you can see, it's got all of the names there. So thank you.
Thank you all, guys.
So one more thing just to say before we go, apart from thanking everyone once again for coming here, powerboat drivers also like to have a good party afterwards and have a good old catch up and a drink. So it's time for me, Robin and everybody else to stop talking and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much indeed. we would like to ask all of the drivers to please get together for just one final photograph before we wrap up the evening. So if we can ask all the drivers just to come up to this border, just in front of the table here, because we would like to just take a couple of photographs of you all together to celebrate this event here.
Come on, Fred.
Nice Jonathan hiding. Smile. If you can. Yeah, that's it.